today's meeting, you think anything really newsy is going to come of it that's actually going to move the price?
I mean, I expect that we're going to get an incremental increase from the few countries within OPEC that have spare capacity. So I expect to see some type of, a couple 100,000 barrel increase from countries like Saudi Arabia, a little bit from UAE. The question is this the political dividend that Biden was looking for from his trip to Saudi Arabia? Again, I expect some barrels to be coming back onto the market, but there's not a lot of OPEC spare capacity out there right now.
Okay, so WTI, I don't know if you, which is your favorite? Are you a Brent person or are you a WTI person? But if we were
I'm an OPEC watcher, so I tend to be a Brent person.
Right. Okay, so if you're a Brent person, look out. Call it, I don't know, three months, November.
Yes.
Let's make it political here in the United States. Let's make it political. What do you think the price of Brent is going to be, and then we can maybe extrapolate what you think the price. I mean, then we got to talk about refining and whatnot. But what it will cost us at the pump?
Well, I think the key question as we go into the back half of the year is not simply how many additional barrels you can get from countries like OPEC. What are the demand concerns, recessionary concerns? I think the big factor to watch is what happens with Russia's sanctions. We have this December. My date is December 5th. What happens when these sanctions on Russia take effect? The European oil embargo, essentially 2 million barrels of Russian oil. Is it going to be displaced from the market? Is there going to be some type of mechanism to move those barrels to Asia? Will you get price caps? Will Asia essentially say, we'll take the barrels no matter what? How this plays out with Russia's sanctions, what happens to 2 million barrels of Russian exports? I think that's going to be the key determinant on where this price goes when we think of the end of the year.
Okay, Helima, you're using it. Was that December 5th is what you said was your number or your date?
I'm watching what happens in December when those Russian oil sanctions kick in. Because right now, we've had no major sanctions on Russian oil. It's been virtue signaling by countries that basically didn't take any barrels. The question is what happens when Europe goes out?
I'm focused on the first week of November. What do you think?
You're focused on the election.
What do you think the price of the pump is? No, but I think this is going to actually be a hugely important part of the story.
This is a huge important part of the story. Absolutely. So the question is, I mean, do we think that, Brent prices are going to hover around 100 for the remainder of the year? Yes, barring some type of major recession-driven downturn. But right now, the physical market is holding up fairly well. We have seen changes in consumer behavior. We've not seen a major signs yet of demand destruction. We have concerns about demand destruction. So that is what is keeping prices relatively constrained right now. The question is, do you have a major move higher going into November? I think that's all going to be played out in terms of what happens with Russia, what happens with these fears about demand. Again, I think we're going to hang out in this sort of $100 Brent range. The question is, as we get beyond November, what does it look like in terms of how many Russian barrels are off the market?